now that we finished our bell ringer, let's get started on today's lesson, which is about hypotheses. Can anybody give me a time when they saw something happen, they weren't really sure why it happened? Clarissa.
Well, sometimes when I go outside, I see that the clouds move, and I'm not really sure why they do that.
Okay, so you observe that the clouds are moving, and you are questioning why. Can you give me a reason of why the clouds could have been moving?
Well, I know that the wind kind of rustles the trees and moves things around sometimes, so I guess it could just be the wind.
Okay, so you know that the wind moves the trees. Now that's a really good hypothesis that you think that since the wind moves the trees, it also moves the clouds. So when you make assumptions like why things happen, you are creating a hypothesis. Hypotheses are educated guesses as to why something occurs based on observations and previously known information. In Clarissa's case, her observation was that the clouds are moving, and her question was why they were moving, and she knows that the wind moves the trees. So if the wind moves the trees, then the wind would also move the clouds. Thank you so much, Clarissa. That's a great example for today's lesson. Okay, so now I'm going to pass out a worksheet for everybody, and we're going to get in groups, and we're going to come up with our own hypothesis about why balloons pop when we step on them. First thing we want to think about is observations. Think about things that we feel and touch and hear when we step on a balloon. Next, we want to think about what we already know, such as with Clarissa's example, she already knew that wind moves trees, and that helped her come up with a reason as to why the clouds were moving. Next, we want to compile what we know and our observations to come up with an answer for why. That's going to be our hypothesis. All right, everyone, you can start working together, discuss your thoughts, and write down your observations. All right, so does anybody want to raise their hand and give me an observation they had? Kira.
My observations were whenever you pop it, it makes a noise and the pieces go everywhere.
That's a really good observation. Thank you, Kira. What about you, Taylor? You got one?
When you put your foot on the balloon, all the air goes to one side.
That's awesome. That's going to help us come up with our hypothesis. So now we want to go to what we know. Think about what you know and what we've learned and talked about before in class that would help us understand why the balloon would pop. Think about like all the air is going to one side and that tension is building on the latex. Okay, to help us learn the steps of forming a hypothesis, we're going to learn a little song. Has anybody ever heard of TikTok? Okay, so you know the song Say So by Doja Cat? Didn't even notice. Okay, we're going to do our own little song to it to help us learn how to form a hypothesis. First lyric is sing, didn't even notice. So that's going to be kind of like our observations. We didn't notice what was going on, but now we did, you know? Then the next line is what questions we're proposing. That is learning what questions we have to ask. So you got to remember to ask the questions. Next is got to keep us focused. So we got to focus on our observations. Got to focus on what we're looking at and what we're hearing and feeling and everything. And then the last one is to say what we know, and that is our hypothesis. So all together is didn't even notice what questions we're proposing. Got to keep us focused to say what we know. Sing it with me. Didn't even notice what questions we're proposing. You got to keep us focused to say what we know. Awesome. Thank you so much.